Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, November 6, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at what the US National Hurricane Center is showing on their 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We can see that there is no new tropical cyclones that are expected during the next 7 days across the Atlantic. Nothing highlighted in yellows, no code yellows, no code oranges, or code reds for possible tropical development. But that could change sometime this week. If we actually take a look at the supercomputer models, the Euro model first, we're going to be looking at the next 7 days. So the next 168 hours, so keep your eyes right here at the top. So we're going to be following what the Hurricane Center will do. Look at the next 7 days. So let us go out in time, and what do we see starting to change around Jamaica? Keep in mind that this is Jamaica right here in the middle. We can see that going out to the next 7 days, we have an increase in the amount of greens that represent rainfall across the Caribbean, stemming all the way from the central Caribbean into the western Caribbean, and we see some darker shades of greens as well that even indicate up to at least 5 inches of rainfall. That's in the forecast. What does the GFS model show for the next 7 days as well, the next 168 hours? We can see much of the same, even starting as early as this weekend. Lots of greens that represent rainfall, and going all the way out into the next 168 hours, we are starting to see a broad area of low pressure associated with the Central American gyre starting to formulate right there to the south of Jamaica, to the south and west of Jamaica, that is closer to Central America. We can see that L that represents an area of low pressure. We can even see some yellows, oranges and reds in there that represent up to 6 to 8 and even up to 10 or even 12 inches of rainfall that's expected. So there's definitely an abundance of rainfall in the forecast, and it kind of matches with what we saw on the CFS's forecast, the CANSIPs. You remember the video that we posted the last day of October? It was actually highlighting the fact that we're going to be in for a very wet November, and this could be it, starting to get it act together with the amount of rainfall that's in the forecast. So it's kind of concerning to see that both the Euro model and the GFS model are showing that within the next 168 hours we're going to be seeing an increase in the amount of greens that represent rainfall across the Caribbean, especially the Central and Western Caribbean, including Jamaica. So we need to pay close attention. Who knows, maybe sometime this week we might start to see this area being highlighted with some amount of yellows that represent an era of possible tropical cyclone development later on. Alright, so let us take a look at what was predicted or if we take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we have numerous troughs still affecting portions of the southwestern Atlantic, and area of low pressure right there to the north of the Turks and Caicos. Lots of troughing still taking place right now, and even a area of high pressure right there across the northern sections of the North Atlantic. That's sending a lot of easterly trade winds across the main development region. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with those numerous troughs attached to the area of low pressure right there to the north of the Caribbean. We can also see lots of clouds still bringing overcast sky showers and thunderstorms to sections of especially the Windward Islands and still sections of Central America at this time. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean weather later on. Let's focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. So it was predicted that we would have received more of a sunny, mainly warm day for Monday, and we would have received some amount of isolated shower activity across sections of some southern parishes during the afternoon. And we know southern parishes we're talking about: Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, St. Andrew, Kingston, and St. Thomas. And what ended up happening? We had Brielle Patton confirming the rainfall in Mandeville, Manchester, stating, "All I can say is if Mandeville is still standing after this deluge, then." And she even confirmed, she said that infrared close-up on Manchester is accurate. We are next to drowning. So we definitely got in on that rainfall that was predicted. We saw it on the infrared satellite images that were posted during the afternoon, showing the high cold cloud tops bring some amount of heavy weather, rainy weather, that is, to especially sections of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, and sections of St. Catherine, that is. We even got some amount of isolated showers across sections of Kingston and St. Andrew. Even sections of Western St. Thomas got in on some of that rainfall. And if we take a look at what Joe Marr posted, he highlighted the rainfall in his area again, showing some amount of rainfall in northern Clarendon at his residence. So this indeed confirms the rainfall that we got across the southern parishes. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we do see that flow coming in from the north on the north coast, then all of that air starting to pile up on the south coast especially. Then we had that blow up of convection definitely across sections of Manchester, St. Catherine, Clarendon, and we still have some of that right now across the area. If we take a look at the Cuban Doppler radar images, we do still see that we have some heavy weather still taking place across central and western parishes, mainly southern parishes in Jamaica, just as predicted. And if we take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website's accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours, we can see where majority of that rainfall was definitely across sections of southern parishes in Jamaica. So definitely sections of Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we are 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by 4 a.m. on Thursday, the temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we do see more in the way of yellows surrounding the island for tomorrow that represent some amount of average to slightly above normal temperatures, so maybe at least 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures for Tuesday. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of October is about 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and when we take a look at the thermometer, 88 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same or almost the same as 30 degrees Celsius, so we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 31 degrees Celsius at most for the temperatures across Jamaica on Tuesday. As it relates to the dry air map, we still see that the dry air is represented by the key at the bottom that shows yellows. That's the low end of the scale, oranges, reds, and whites within those reds. And we do see that dry air across the Gulf of Mexico, off the east coast of the United States, and the northern portions of the main development region, as well as to the northwest of Africa. Majority of the moist air is represented right there, touching all the way from the western portion of the main development region into the Caribbean. As we can see, lots of blues, not much in the way of dry air at all across the Caribbean. And with the lack of dry air, it's definitely gonna be, fruitful for whatever tries to develop next week, especially considering that we have some very warm sea surface temperatures still across the Atlantic, especially the Caribbean, where we see those oranges and even some slight reds. Yes, we still have that El Nino that has been putting a hold on the usual bad weather, and we're indeed grateful for that. But how long does this last? And if we even take a look at the ocean heat content, there's definitely a lot of water below the surface itself. So the deeper you go, the more water is warm down there. So if an area of low pressure tries to take advantage of the warm waters of the Caribbean, Even if it churns up the water, there's still going to be deeper warm water to tap into. So it's definitely going to be a bad situation in the Caribbean if an airflow pressure takes a hold of what's happening. Let's just take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday. We do see the Saharan dust is represented by those lighter shades of bronze, stretching all the way from the main development region into the Caribbean section of the Eastern Caribbean, that is. But those areas won't even be seeing these hazy skies or have their asthma or sinusitis triggered, because this is on the low end of the scale of Saharan dust. In order to see hazy skies and to trigger asthma and sinusitis issues, we have to have those darker shades of browns, and we don't see that at all at this time. Jamaica should be in the clear for 2 p.m. on Tuesday. As relates to the wave forecast, waves surrounding the island should be averaging anywhere from 0.5 meter to 1 meter wave heights, and that's due to the fact that the winds are going to be averaging 10 to 15 knots at most, coming in from the northeast. So whatever rainfall that we're going to be getting is going to be coming in to the northern section of the island at first off the sea, maybe section of Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, especially during the morning hours as it usually is. Then wherever we have those blues, that's where we're going to be having that air pile up, especially during the afternoon hours. So maybe sections of some southern parishes, maybe eastern, central and western parishes in Jamaica are going to be getting in on some rainfall. But more do we have southern parishes during the afternoon, northern parishes during the morning. And we do see that both the Euro and the GFS are in some amount of agreement regarding this wind direction and wind speed. And with the upper level winds coming in from the northwest across the island, that's going to be favoring more of those upper level clouds to be blown off towards the southeast, something similar to what we saw today. Look at that. We had more of that northeasterly flow of low level clouds. Then we had that thunderstorm activity developing across central Jamaica, and look where the high cold cloud tops blew off towards the south and east, bringing more into of overcast skies to sections of southern Clarendon, sections of even Portmore, western St. Andrew. So we could be in for something similar to that for tomorrow. So definitely sections of some southern parishes in the afternoon: Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, St. Andrew, St. Thomas. Northern parishes in the morning. So definitely sections of Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, maybe spilling into sections of Trelawney, hopefully St. James and Hanover as well. There's gonna be all across the board for tomorrow: eastern, central and western parishes, with the morning for northern parishes and the afternoon for southern parishes. And if we take a look at the rainfall forecast, this does indeed confirm what we just spoke of. Look at those blues on the Euro model and on the GFS model, and this is valid for 9 a.m. Jamaica time. We do see the blues across northern parishes across the various spots that were predicted to receive that rainfall. So with that northeasterly flow, definitely gonna be getting in on some amount of morning rainfall across the north. Skipping ahead to about 1 p.m, look at what we're seeing: blues that represent rainfall across eastern, central and western parishes. And with all of that air piling up across the south, that does confirm the rainfall that's gonna be expected across southern Jamaica during the afternoon. And we can't rule out more rainfall coming in from the north across some northern parishes. So it could be a case where it's raining throughout the day on the north coast, then spilling into southern parishes during the afternoon. And even skipping ahead to about 3 p.m, we still see much of the same: blues that represent rainfall across the north, sections of the east, sections of central and western Jamaica, as well as the south. So we could get in on a repeat of what happened today across Jamaica, and we're indeed grateful for that. And if we take a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast, we do see that the consensus is for majority of the rainfall across northern Jamaica, up to 0.25 of an inch across Portland on the Euro. GFS not so robust, up to 0.2 of an inch of rainfall on that. So we're grateful for the rainfall. We're in the month of November. We usually receive a decrease in the amount of rainfall that we get as opposed to what we get in October. But November is still one of the rainy months across Jamaica. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get before we head into the very dry period of December to April. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. Alright, so as stated, we still have a lot of clouds bringing some overcast skies, showers and thunderstorms to sections of Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, sections of Colombia, Venezuela, sections of the Windward Islands, especially areas to the south of Guadeloupe, so Martinique, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, sections of Guyana as well. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we do see that we have some hit or miss showers here and there right now, but look at that, we see that rainfall still affecting portions of northern Dominica, sections of Guadeloupe as well. Just take a look at the Barbados radar. We don't have much happening across Barbados right now. Where we see the rainfall is right there across sections of Dominica, just like what we saw earlier. Martinique, section of western Martinique, that is. We can also see some rainfall exiting sections of St. Vincent, some rainfall coming into sections of Grenada. Definitely a lot of heavy rainfall today, especially across northeastern Trinidad, sections of Tobago as well. As it relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall, just like what we saw on the satellite images, across sections of Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, sections of northern Venezuela and Guyana. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we do see the yellows and oranges that represent anywhere from 1 to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures across the Caribbean. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast, majority of the Caribbean should be in the clear, with only some slight browns that represent some Saharan dust, and it won't even be that noticeable in the sky or to affect somebody's allergies. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we do see that majority of the Caribbean should be averaging anywhere from 0.5 to at least up to 2 meter wave heights, especially across the eastern Caribbean, as indicated by those slight purple colors. And that's due to the fact that the winds are gonna be averaging anywhere from 5 to at least 20 knots, especially across the eastern Caribbean, coming in from the east-southeast, the central Caribbean across that area coming in from the east, and the western Caribbean including Jamaica, as well as the west central Caribbean including Jamaica, coming in from the northeast, like we stated earlier. As it relates to the rainfall forecast now, look how dry it's gonna be across the northern portion of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, sections of central and western Cuba, Florida, the Bahamas. We see the consensus, but where do we see the consensus for rainfall? More in the way of isolated rainfall wherever we have the greens and the yellows. So definitely the Turks and Caicos, eastern Cuba, Jamaica, sections of Haiti, the Dominican Republic. We start to get even more colorful with the yellows and the oranges and the reds anywhere from the Dominican Republic eastward. So Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, the Leeward Islands in general, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Bart's, sections of Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, sections of Guyana as well, but we don't see that rainfall across sections of majority of Suriname or French Guyana, but definitely a lot of rainfall in store for sections of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, and especially Belize, still in for a lot of rainfall. Keep in mind that both of these maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.